Hi friends, and welcome to this week's video. I am going to give you the 7 things I think that you should know, especially if you're a working mum. So quickly about me, I'm Alina and I've been in digital marketing for over a dozen years now, especially in SEO, and I've worked for very big brands. So if you're in the UK, you'll especially know these. So basically Debenhams, Carpetright, Tesco, BBC, Vodafone, Tom Ford. Basically there's some big names that I've worked for. I have worked for long hours. I've also worked my way into freelance earlier this year. I've been loving life. And basically I've become a mum in 2020, so I know what it's like to be a working mum for over 3 years now, and this is my experience in a vlog just for you. Because of this, guys, I will very much appreciate a like if you like this video, and if you want to see more of this type of content specifically for working mums or clean with me's and fun vlogs and routines and things like that. So make sure to subscribe if you're interested in those. And without further ado, let's jump into those 7 things. So the first thing that I would recommend as a working mum, especially if you are basically struggling or you find that you need to set yourself some sort of like plan or routine, is basically organization. So organize yourself, whether it's making a list, whether it's getting a diary. I personally live by my reminders on my phone. I know that if I need to get something done on a particular day or just before, I make sure that I pop it into my phone as a reminder to make sure that nothing gets missed. I've mentioned it before and I'll mention it again. It's something that's really good. It pops up on my phone and I do love to check it off when I do it. The reason I say write it down, especially if you're trying to get organized, is because there's a lot of mental load. We think a lot, we know what we need to get done, and as the day goes by, as our kids are demanding more and more things, and as work gets stressier potentially, as you've got more meetings, just make sure to write things down. I would recommend, if you do write these things down, that you actually keep things separate. So if you've got one for work and have one for home, that is the ideal. For me, that's a great way to organize and to separate the two things as well, in order to keep a balance. But saying that, at the same time, sometimes on the rare occasion I do add a phone reminder to something that's so important if it's work related. Otherwise all of my work things are on an Outlook reminder. I very much love to use the Microsoft notebook specifically. It's so good. You can add different notes, different colors, different like tabs and things like that. So I definitely recommend you checking that out for work, and do separate your like reminders, your tasks out if you can. Quickly, also making lists is really fun and really good because you will know that you've achieved something. So it's very much easy to achieve something for work stuff. So like you get a task done, so you tick it off. And then basically for similarly, if you're doing like mum stuff, I would also recommend writing that down, because then you can tick that off and then you can feel that success. Something that stay-at-home mums struggle with is basically feeling like you've succeeded or you've done something that day. So like it's very important to be able to break down the things that you've done during the day, even if it's like in half. So basically do the washing but not like fold it up like you do that another day. But you basically, it's so good to tick it off to feel that success that you've had during the day. I've quickly mentioned it already, but routine is the next thing that I'd recommend. If you are basically in a routine, I would recommend that if you skip it once, that's okay, but never skip it twice. So this is something that I've also gone to personally, especially when I'm doing like a sports routine or like keeping active, that if you miss it one day, for example, I don't go cycling one of the days that I thought I would, make sure that you go the next day so that you never miss 2 in a row, because then that routine just breaks down. So in a similar sort of way, if you create a routine where you're working, you're staying at home, you're like having this balance, you've created something for you and your child that works, then make sure that if you skip it once, don't skip it twice. And therefore you create a routine. You make sure that there's a routine in place that you know and your family knows, and therefore everybody is going along with them. You'll be surprised that people absolutely, so humans, we love a good routine, so do stick to one if you can. So I've been there before. Burnout and knowing your limit is probably one of the first things that you should learn about yourself if you are a working mum. So I've been there before when like you've overworked yourself. I basically am too tired to do anything. I've got so much to do that I am just like, right, I'm not doing any of the list. And it's not just for work, it's also impacting everything else that I do. So everything around the house, everything for my child. So it's very important that you know your limit. And it's a tough one because I don't know how to explain about learning that limit until you get there. So for me, I know how I feel, like feeling stressed and what I should be doing, calming it down, that sometimes having only a few things on your list is okay. And basically I know that I am a super productive person, and the things that basically make me tick, and therefore I can scale a few things back as well. I can feel what my body needs, whether it's nourishment or sleep. So it's very important that you listen to you, that you learn some of these things. So perhaps it's something that you can go ahead and learn from someone else, whether it's meditation, whether it's yoga, basically whether it's gratitude. So how do you get your grounding so that you don't feel burnout? So go and educate yourself, and that is a very big recommendation because nobody wants to be burnt out. So it's okay for things not to get done. Try not to be a perfectionist. So yes, it'll be perfect and ideal if something gets done and boof, you're done it, you've finished it, it looks amazing, and here you go, you've provided this thing. It's a similar sort of thing with work, like what is the request and therefore what is the outcome, and make sure that you don't beat yourself up about it if it's not 100% there. So especially if you're a working mum, you're trying to balance all of these things. And something I'll speak about at the end is basically you're providing your energy for all of these things that you're balancing, and you're spinning all these plates. If something doesn't get done that very day, it's okay. Just make sure that you are internally telling yourself that as well, because it's very important how you talk to yourself, because your inner voice is the one that you've got to live with and the one that keeps you motivated for the next day. So make sure that you know that you can give yourself a break, because imagine if you had to get something done, right? So you get something done, you feel that you get the burnout, and then you can't do anything else that you wanted, whether it's looking after your home, whether it's looking after your child, or whether it's even finishing off this piece of work that you had to get done by the end of the week. So it's very important because all of these things impact each other because you're trying to balance so many things. So remember, don't be a perfectionist and try and do your best. I personally have had so many routines, whether I was working full-time in the city, whether I was doing part-time, currently where I'm working from home full-time, but every time I know how I prefer to do my cleaning. So I would personally recommend little bits and like maintenance of things, whether it's the bathroom, so like I do a sink and toilet here, like I don't do too many deep cleans. I prefer a maintenance over like one big clean. So I would very much recommend that, especially if you're a working mum, because you have a lot of things that you've got to do. So you don't have the time to take like this whole day off just to go cleaning. So I personally love like a power hour. If you need to do some deep cleaning, I do it quickly. I set a timer and then I do it, or I do it because I know that I've got a couple of hours to spare. I never take like a day off and do like the whole house because it's exhausting as well, and it's hard to find time for yourself, especially if you're a mum, and doubly if you are a working mum. So yes, my recommendation is to do little bits here and there, basically little times here and there, rather than like a huge overhaul of a cleaning session. Another tip is basically waking up before your kids. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. For me personally, I am an early bird and I love to get things done in the early morning. So waking up before my child is perfect and great and really does make sense. But sometimes my child does like to wake up and wants more cuddles, so I do jump back into bed. But basically it's a great way to get started on your to-do list, on your chores. So for example, I like to empty the dishwasher every morning. I sort of have to get up before my child whether I want to or not, because I now have a puppy who wants to go wee-wees very, very early. So I am very much the first awake and I let him out, I give him some cuddles too. And a couple of months ago, before the summer break, I actually used to go on cycle rides, so have some me time, which is great. So I was saying it very much depends on who you are. So if you are the opposite, if you're not an early bird, if you're a night owl, perhaps have a think about when you put your child to bed, that then you go on like your cycle ride, or like you have your self-care routine, you get started on your to-do list, basically to get things ahead of the day before. This also works really well, especially if you need to get like kids' lunches done, like outfits, sorting for the office. I used to do that the night before I go into the office because I like to get organized. And yeah, basically I very much recommend to spend that time whilst your child is having a downtime, whether it's like sleeping or like occupied with something. So final tip, and something that I've briefly mentioned, and that is about managing your energy. What do you give to work? What do you give to your child? What do you give to your home, your partner, etc, etc, etc. So there are so many plates that we've got to balance, that it's very important to know that you can't be giving everything away to just the one area. So for example, if you go into the office and you give all of your energy to your work, then it's important to know that when you come back from work, you can't like be grumpy and have no energy and lash out at your kids because you've had such a long day at work, because you need to learn how to manage the two things. And if it's not working, if basically that's what you're doing currently, you're coming back from the office and then you're not being very nice to your kids, then have a think about changing your routine, dare I say it, your job. Is it working for you? Like, do you have that balance there? Because you want to ensure that you can give all of your fun. I enjoy work personally, so basically give your energy to your work, enjoy what you're doing, because it's great to have a career. I personally love it, and basically do well at it. But also remember that you've got to also love being with your kid, have fun with your kid, because there's no point of doing one or the other when you're trying to have a balance. And that is my recommendation, basically knowing your energies. And if your energy is like very strong in one area, have a think about what that tells you about the bigger picture. Now guys, I don't want you to come back to me and like tell me next week that you've like completely quit your job and you are now going to be a stay-at-home mum and that's it because I told you so. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's okay to be a working mum. It's okay to work. It's okay to enjoy your job, but also remember that you need some energy left for home as well, and vice versa too, because like if you are giving all of your energy to your kids, perhaps you are struggling with work. Maybe there's something that needs to change over there. But anyway, if you are happy as a working mum, I hope these tips help you anyway. I absolutely love being a working mum. I very much recommend it, especially in this day and age. Some of us don't even get a choice. Basically, organisation, routine, make sure to look after yourself. Those are my main points and I hope that you like them. Let me know what you would recommend to a working mum. I'd love to hear it. So make sure to comment down below and let me know. Thanks so much for watching and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye!